All right, we said we wanted to take a peek at the top at the draft this time around. They have blue team, BDS does. Like I said, getting rid of Kennen and Rumble all day long, right? This is important for his champion pool. They end up with the Olaf. Thank goodness that he's not on Renekton. If I'm enemy teams, we talked about it after the loss that they had the first time around. Just give this guy Renekton. He is not very good, whereas he is world class and even metagame shaping with how good he is on the other champions. He is just grandmaster. And I'm not saying it to flame. It's just people are going to have strengths and they're going to have weaknesses. He's not there yet on Renekton. I would give you Renekton. If I could hand it to you for the draft, if you're BDS, I would hand it to you because he's that much weaker. I'm glad to see BDS finally stepping away from Renekton here and going. And they end up with several power picks, right? We're near the top. We've got S tier on support and in top. Olaf also presents a lot of problems to enemy teams, like that they have it with the Azir combination as well. So they're going to have a lot of all-in threat from Maokai ultimate plus Olaf diving in. It's going to be very, very difficult to hold this team down. One of the things that you do want, generally you want to ban Jarvan if you're going to go with Olaf, because that is the best way to peel an Olaf, is to surround him with a wall, and then you can just use the R and then use EQ to get out and take that window for yourself. But it'll be very exciting to see exactly this moment, whether or not they're able to come back here and create something for themselves. Up against the wall, down 0-2. Can we have some reverse sweep? We're gonna need some amount of hopium here, but step one, axe the Renekton. All right, step one complete. Early flash, beautiful, beautiful. I love seeing proactivity. Again, different combinations. You want to try to create exploitative play. See if you can answer something that they're trying to do. I hate this wall. This is not a position that top laners should ever be in. There's no reason to be here. You're not gaining anything that you couldn't have gotten from safer positions, especially being that far away from where the carries might be able to get in on some of that damage. With that said, I like what he did. Just burn it right away. Don't even consider it. Love seeing that early approach velocity on Olaf. Pretty mandatory part of his kit, in my opinion. That rune is just about as good as the Conqueror. Not even kidding, because your one tool is, can they cut you? Can they dodge your Q and cut you? Well, if they get hit by one Q, it's basically GG. You will be able to create any fight you want. We see that the role is very apparent here. Kate and Rel are fighting for the push, putting that Q right into the face of the minion wave, trying to get as much range advantage into this Alistar as possible. We talked about the all-in here. With that Q down, Labrov could have flash Q'd or Q flashed on top of Caitlyn, and then Kai'Sa could have gone for all-in damage right on top of her. That is a way you can exploit. It's like, all right, we've got spells you don't. You've used it for this. You've also drawn aggro because you drew the attacks on us first. We can even take this bush because we have a ward here and you don't. Would have liked them go for that window. But that said, that's the only point of strength they would have. You'd need to rely entirely on the Glacial Augment, plus the base stats on Alistar being, essentially worth multiple champions. Kate getting some early procs in, also going for Doran's Blade, so really going for the maximum here. Proactive play here from Maple, but with Jarvan at his back, he's moving. Alistar's moving up. Very nicely done here by Labrov to be in position, and also Nuke to know that he can deal some chunk damage back. So I like seeing some confidence from BDS here. Up in the top lane, interesting to see that they picked Gnar. So Gnar does have ways to get away from Olaf, it's true, but your jump is on a 22 second cooldown, whereas this axe is basically on a 1 second cooldown from when you pick it up. So if Adam ever lands a Q into his face, he's going to be able to jump for it. Right now he's not aiming for it because Gnar's positioning himself in such a way where if Olaf lands a Q, it necessarily has to push the wave faster. He's trying to hold on to this wave for as long as possible. You see this again, that Aji was able to get this wave close enough to his turret that it's going to completely negate the early effects of the dive threat of Olaf. and you're going to end up where they're battling for this line of scrimmage on that side of the map. Now, that said, they did see Jarvan path through mid coming bot, so Olaf knows that there's no real threat coming back to him here. And so he can continue to just shove and harass, and eventually we'll see if he goes for this cannon wave, the 4-minute cannon wave, if he goes for a reset after this. Looks like he might have a chance of getting, 37 CS, not 38. Not perfect, but still very good. It looks like Gnar actually might have a chance, despite having the threat of Olaf in your face, using this fleet footwork build to make sure that you're always, always healthy and fast. This is something you need to do into these juggernauts on Gnar. If they have the all-in threat, you need to be able to recreate space. Otherwise, the way that it happens, and this is why champions like Aurelia, but more importantly, Camille and Olaf, people that have cooldowns for long-range gap close effects or ability to get onto you from long range, your E is on such a long cooldown that you have to, if you, let's say you go up and they engage, you can E away. Then if you come back up, they have their spell available again. So if they're trying to zone you off the wave, which is what Olaf is trying to do, by the way, he's trying to crash this wave so that he can get a freeze coming back, which allows him to get a long lane for gank potential. You step back up. If he engages on you again, this time, let's say with Ghost, now you have to flash. Next time you come, he engages on you, and you have to use your flash and your E's back up. All right, let's see. Maokai's hiding right here. Ooh, they wait till they get the effect. Olaf is staying alive long enough. Andy dodges the spells. It is First Blood, but Maokai eventually uses the flash. Needed to use it to get there. What is he doing right here? Why is he inting? Is he inting for lane state? That's kind of bizarre. Oh, because he didn't want it to go to Sylas. All right, the Sylas pings were coming. Makes sense. Knows that he's dead. Doesn't want to give it to Maple. Jarvan blazing through the jungle right now. 38. He's got 2 camp lead. He's got the pickaxe. He picks up that kill as well. So he's going to be springboarded. This is going to be a very scary Jarvan for this game. He's got it battling for the forefront here. Now Gnar hasn't. Wait. Oh, Gnar's at full health. Okay. I was looking at this as if it was their health bar. Gnar going to use, look at this, using Merc Treads. Knowing that the threat, right, is these champions. You only have one champion, and the slow is something you can evade. Now, you could get something similar from Swifties. Slow here, slow here, slow here. But more importantly, you're going to have to make sure that you don't get locked down while you're in mini form. Having the upgraded boots as well. Just playing with Cull and upgraded boots means that he's going to sit here, poke away at Olaf, try to only ever create crashes for himself, and he basically wants to create the step. He wants to create the stack in front of his turret and then shove it out. He's not going to go for any glorified, 3 or 4 wave crashes the way that Olaf might. Instead, he's just going to look for the safety of the minion wave, plus the fact that he has boots here. Now, you see from Olaf has matched it with his boots purchase. Also being plated steel caps is going to negate a lot of the poke from Gnar. But, you can see this Gnar playing this matchup very, very well. We have a, seemingly a different class of top laner for this matchup. Also bot, Waco's been playing cracked out of his mind. We have a bait here, stun into lockup. Kate misses the Q. It's not going to matter. She still gets the kill. That's one of the things that can happen. When a champion gets knocked up, they look like they're up here. Ends up under aiming based on the position. Another thing that happens, this is low ground and high ground. No, what? Maple, that's so good. Wow. High ground versus low ground, there's a difference. Basically, when you're low and high ground, you aim at either their feet or their head because they're actually slightly juxtaposed, just a little bit off center based on your character's perspective. So, it does happen, especially skill shots being aimed from river or to river can be that, but we'll see it again here. It looks like they just aimed it a little bit too low. I mean, obviously, that's what. Let's see. Nuke going for the play. Maple seeing it again, stepping back. That's the 3rd time we've seen Azir ultimate spaced. These guys have had all year to play against Azir. Played, sir. Now we do have lethal tempo Caitlyn. You see this when we talk about the difference between lethal tempo, fleet footwork. From Caitlyn's, they tend to want lethal tempo if they have someone to stack it off on. In this case, you've got Alistar. You're going to have a game where you've got Maokai Olaf diving into you, so it should be no problem stacking it off. That being said, Caitlyn's definitely off meta. You're going for a pretty big reach here when you're ending with Caitlyn against Kai'Sa. Instead of one of the other champions that could be much stronger. We like Vayne, Raven, Ashe, Kalista. There's a lot of champions that can be used to be very strong into Kai'Sa in these environments. And by going Caitlyn, you're basically like, you would already win lane with anybody. Caitlyn has one of the worst troughs in the game, going from starting position all the way until about third item. So you're going to win the lane, then you're still strong because you have a lead on your first item, but then after first item, you're just like down here compared to everybody else in the game. They can all kill you anyways. There's nothing you can do. And then you slowly get ticked back up, and then you come back up third item, and then fourth item, you're up here. But this trough does not bode well for pro play, where there's so much happening at the 20-minute mark, right? There's constant threat of Baron, there's constant threat of Dragon Soul stacking, and if you're that weak for that stage in the game, then it's a problematic. You know, you can't be weak from 20 to 28 minutes in this game and have success. Maple finding another window for himself. Look at this, using Electrocute. Interestingly enough, with the Electrocute, normally we see First Strike or Conqueror into the melee matchups when you're expecting more bruiser type potential, and First Strike almost always going to go with the Everfrost build, so you can lock people down and then get a double stacked Q onto them. Let's see, Adam is behind him. He is level 8 though, just going to go for a little chunk. Maybe testing the waters and be like, all right, I'm about to level spike. I'm coming up. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm behind the Gnar. This might be a chance, but the minions were a little bit too much. 2.3k gold lead for PSG. And a dragon for themselves. Next dragon's coming up in 90 seconds. Silas has the kill lead over the Azir, but it looks like he's going for this Night Harvester build, something that we don't see nearly as often. Oh, do we get a pick? If we can get a pick here on Woody, this could turn into enough extra action for the rest of the team. They've got the burning. The smite is actually used to consolidate that kill. Means that Caitlyn's off, left by herself here with 1 minute till dragon, which means that there's no way for them to actually fight for River Prio. They might try to say like, hey, we're just stronger because you're missing some cooldowns here. Ooh. Kai'Sa, what? No. See, that's not something you're allowed to do. Our first enormous mistake. Oh, what an ultimate from Aji. Oh my goodness. Landing them on both sides. That's like there's a goal there and you're able to slam them exactly into the goalposts and not let any of them through the gate. That was incredibly done. But a huge int from Wako. You can't step up here. I don't know if he still thought he was on Kai'Sa or something, but you know, Kai'Sa can reposition. Kate cannot reposition from out of that wall, doesn't have the flash to get out there. So a huge miscommunication. Yes, you can come up and maybe take some control of the river by saying, hey, like, we're stronger than you because of the amount of ultimates you just used, and you used some health and resources to get these kills. Well, I've got like 12 seconds while your spells are coming back up where I can wrest some control back, but not in the position where you just step up into that tri-bush. That's risky. Now we also have Caitlyn into Olaf right before the dragon, which is really kind of bizarre. Yes, she's got this tremendous range advantage and she can E away, and as long as you play this perfectly as Caitlyn, you should absolutely take chips away from the Olaf. The problem is it takes so long to actually create the meaningful damage advantage because Olaf doesn't care if he's low. And if you overstep once, especially since they have your flash timer, Olaf could just kill you, right? Even at the we'll just call it weakened state that he's in right now, relative to the Gnar, he's still much stronger than a Caitlyn. Kai'Sa, how does Kai'Sa end up over here? All right, we're gonna have to see that again. Don't like Waco's choice to go up there. I mean, they're getting Dragon. I understand wanting to get resources and making sure that Olaf isn't getting like a free lane to go for himself. But even stepping out just the littlest bit, BDS must not have had the timer on Caitlyn, or it was just coming up in that window. I didn't see exactly, but you almost definitely need to burn at least flash there. And if your flash is down, Olaf is going to get that kill. The only thing that would stop him from going there is expecting the support to maybe be nearby, but then you can take stock of what's actually happening on the rest of the map and weigh the risk analysis about how likely is it that the support is here and maybe I get this kill anyways. All right, if you're BDS, how do you come back? You're 2.5k down. You've got Azir, so you've got the end game team fight down. The problem is Caitlyn will be very nice. Caitlyn, of course, dealing single target damage compared to Azir's AoE damage is going to be a difference. Let's see this. Yeah, Crowny just stepping up. Dies to just flash. Wow. Dear ult. Well done by Silas. Maple's having himself a tournament. Having himself a series, a game, a tournament, and he's playing so good. This team has looked so strong. It's too bad that the Oysters got knocked out. But it does seem like PSG is a significant level above CFO. Sort of has just been that way. And PSG coming into multiple tournaments like the Vietnamese teams has had to use subs to get in. They've had to replace their bot lane multiple times using just an all-pro AD carry, but with no experience on the team. Some people thought that, hey, that made their team too strong. It's not fair. But in reality, when you're at this level, you need to be able to synergize as 5, right? What's stronger, 5 or 1? 1 can deliver that one big punch. You need to have that synergy. And this team just having Wako and Woody just playing out of their minds, especially right here. Apart from that mistake in the tri-bush, Wako has been playing so well. Now, if BDS is going to come back, it's going to be on the legs of a big Maokai engage. We talked about the R button synergy of Olaf plus Maokai. Should give Kai'Sa the opportunity to position wherever they want into a fight. Azir can also reposition the entire enemy team, which is very important for Alistar and Olaf, who tend to get kited a little bit. This seems like a pretty big fight to be taking at a gold deficit. But they find the pick on the side. They're able to win on the sides of this. BDS actually gets rewarded for coming into this situation. I see a flash here for sure. Gets the kill. Steps away from Silas. Now he's feeling strong, all right? Because he's got the rest of his team behind him. Although they're pretty far behind. That is a come from behind that BDS needed. The question is whether or not they should have even been there. You do have spikes. So you're thinking, all right, this is one of our biggest spikes. Also, Kai'Sa on Q Evolve, Olaf on first item. This is the most lethal those champions are going to be over the course of the game. Plus, we just finished Azir's Leandries, so they're all feeling very good about where they're at. This is a problem, trying to fight Olaf. The lower you are, the better his passive is, and he's going to get that monstrous shield from his W, which is also an attack reset, which of course matters for the amount of healing and sustain that he's getting from the passive. So it all kind of synergizes when you're low. That's why Last Stand and even Revitalize, or you tend to not see tenacity from him because of the ultimate already, but you often see the like second wind Revitalize combination, or you see like in this game you have approach velocity. When he's getting low though, he's very happy to be in Last Stand. He's very happy to sit down there, deal that extra damage, and come back up. Just enough. Would have been interesting actually if Caitlyn were able to path right into this wall. That would have gotten him away from the range of the last bit of the R, right on the edge. Then you step to the left, then you'd be away from the Sand Soldier, you'd be away from the wall, and might have been able to get out. Even if you don't get out though, making the Azir stay for an extra like 2 seconds might be enough for your Sylas to come back and punch them in the mouth. Now, compositionally, we haven't gotten much into composition apart from the R synergies here. We have Gnar, who's looking to put you into walls. We've got Jarvan, who creates terrain. Fantastic advantage. Kate is just kind of scuffed. If they lose this game, I think it's going to be on the back of just Kate being underpowered. We're probably going to see Stormrazor into Infinity Edge. Infinity Edge is strong enough stat-wise. If you guys have been paying attention in solo queue, Edge is actually one of the winningest items now that it's been jacked with values. The problem is that's all it offers, whereas everything else gives more as well. But Infinity Edge, for them, they like to generally have other effects like Gale Force. They like to have the extra movement, that sort of things scales more than the damage does. But Kate is one of the best users in the game, right? When you're Kate, every single one of your headshots counts as a crit. That means Infinity Edge is good there. So I do expect her to actually finish that item off. Gnar, complete combo. Nuke gets away. Nice. Nicely done. Kind of random up here in the top lane. Olaf is way pushed up, so they do know where Sylas is at and that he's being held to his turret. Gnar taking the maximum here. Love how Aji's playing this. Love how aggressive he's going with that fleet footwork stuff. Now Sylas is happy to just clear ways against the Olaf, going to call back for his team. They've gotten the vision into the western quadrant, but now with a Hex Gate, Hex Gates can help Olaf a lot. Not quite as much as the Chem Soul does, but the Hex Gates can let him get into positions faster than he normally would, and might be able to create some windows for himself. So we see them moving into this western quadrant. They're moving up ahead, trying to get back the control of the western quadrant, and then they're going to go for some amount of vision here. I don't like that we ended up with a very shallow ward line here. Feeling some pressure, but also erasing their own wards that they had in that quadrant. Now, BDS is going to want to continue these fights, right? Maokai's going to fall off a bit. Olaf is going to fall off a lot. Kai'Sa as well. This build, this is about as strong as they're going to be in this game. They don't want to allow Gnar to get onto those massive items. He's going for Hullbreaker, which is very interesting, saying that I want to actually beat the Olaf in the side lane. I don't know that this is going to work. Looks like we're going to have Jaksho versus Hullbreaker. So definitely there's going to be a distinct difference in their power once they come into the fight. This one losing his stats as he starts the fight, and this one gaining stats as he goes. So very, very interesting. Also important for Olaf, since you're giving up a lot of your stats when you go into your Ragnarok, when you're going into that ultimate, you give up so many stats. Jaksho helps you to get those stats back when it's most important. All right. Resistances have diminishing returns. So when you're at 100, gaining 30 extra armor and resistance, that's nice, but it's not tons. It doesn't do tons. But when you're at 0 and you gain 30, that's a lot. Okay, so when you're talking about the difference between mitigating 0 damage and mitigating like 26%, there's a significant difference there compared to mitigating half of the damage versus mitigating 55% is almost nothing. That's a 5% change compared to like 26. I'm not sure on the exact numbers there, but basically for the first 100 armor that you have is going to be the amount of damage. So it's 100 plus your resistance. What is it? This is the ratio. This is how much damage gets dealt. So to deal 100 damage, you need to deal whatever their resistance is plus 100. So if they're at 100, you need to deal 200 to hit them for 100. If they're 130, you need to hit them for 230 raw for it to count as 100. That's where the math triggers in. I have lost my ability to just put that on the tip of a hat. I'm sure you guys have it though. But here we go. We're scaling 2 items, BDS, 2 items. We're going to go Rabadon second. Very interesting. Not opting for the attack speed or the cooldown, but opting for just the raw damage into these fights. We're also going to have the Nashor's Tooth, which will get all of the evolutions online. Actually, probably not the attack speed. Not quite yet, right? And we have, of course, Radiant Virtue from Alistar. one of the best ultimate item synergies in the game. Just say like, hey, I need to shed all negative effects. I'm in the middle of hell. I need to break free. Radiant Virtue is perfect in those situations. Also going to be very nice for these guys who are getting extra effect going forward. Now, Caitlyn, we spoke about her Troth. Getting Infinity Edge will mitigate that some. One thing that I like doing is getting double crit cloak after you get Infinity Edge, so you just have more natural critting happening. But again, on Caitlyn, that's not what you're trying to do. On Caitlyn, it's going to be lots of traps, nets, stacked up passive, fighting from bushes to get more headshots. That's where all the power economy comes from. Look at this engage. Jarvan getting way into the middle of the team means that they're able to get a very nice position. They're able to checkmate in this spot right here. Very nice. But Olaf just carrying through this fight. Kai'Sa did survive at basically one hit from dead. They're going to take this. No, oh, they're taking it all the way back. They wait till the commit happens and they take the gates back. Ships passing each other in the night, literally. Wow, well, that was an exciting little fight there. And BDS was able to get themselves the Hex Drake. So they are strong here. No doubt about it. They're going to be pretty good. Very nice positioning by Jarvan to get into the middle of that fight. Caitlyn did bite the dust. And you see that, like, she's just not getting off the strength that she wants here. A lot of this power being indexed into Jarvan. And he never gets the shield off despite being that low. Wow, that is so big. I love that Aji's playing these things to the limit, man. Overall, has seemed like the much better top laner. And if that's your best player on your team and they're getting outclassed by the enemy team, then it's going to be tough to win a series. Look at this. Come up. Jarvan knocks up into everybody. He actually, I bet Gnar actually would have preferred just being in the front here and just get those 3 kills immediately. Adam being alive right here, going back into the pit. Very nice for himself, but still a big win for PSG. Look at this trap line. Beautifully done. Come up. Another R, but EQ. This time Woody gets chunked. And Azir's able to get that kill. Now, let's see. Maple says that we can get the rest of this fight. Has the Alistar ultimate, which is the singular best ultimate in the game for Sylas. Maybe Nasus accepting. But any of those ultimates that give you tremendous stats are going to be so good on this champion because it lets you play and stay at low health for longer. The Alistar ult goes in. They do end up dying at the end of it. Does pick himself up a stopwatch. We'll be able to use that. And we'll see sometimes at this level, the players get hyped up. We talked about it last series about the effects of adrenaline and the different hormones that your body can create when you're in these like hyperadrenaline sort of situations. You tend to skip steps and things that you know or otherwise would know as being a thing you would normally do. For example, in this case, when you are shopping, if they can see your corpse and you buy the item, they'll see it. They'll press tab and they will see it. If you wait until you respawn, then you can hide the item that you bought. And in this case, Sylas just went up and bought stopwatch, which means that enemy team now has the most amount of time to think about you having a stopwatch. The best play, the singular best thing you can do is to buy one other item that is not stopwatch. Like make it look like you're buying something else entirely. Like buy a blasting wand. All right, make it look like you're not getting stopwatch. Then you press undo. They will see that you bought the item that they're thinking of or that they saw, that blasting wand, and then you can undo and pick up the stopwatch. Last known information, they will think you have blasting wand, you actually have stopwatch. That can be the difference between winning and losing a fight at this level. It takes about a quarter second to do for these guys. Now let's take a look at this fight. Battle lines have been drawn. They get the pick onto Jarvan despite the wall being used. They're able to hold this position for themselves. And now, do you risk running into an Olaf here? Olaf is in the middle of the team. They're trying to consolidate the forces, but PSG has made their way in, but somehow Wako ends up inside the pit. You'd like to be in this pit. You'd like to be in this grass field as a Caitlyn, and it means that Olaf is just carrying this fight. Now Nar's going to go in. Nar's feeling very strong. And now that there's no teammates around, he's actually got the Hullbreaker bonus as well. But you cannot face check into Olaf here. Olaf will go ahead and win this fight if he lands a single Q. No, never mind. I lied. It's the fleet footwork, the extra move speed. Oh no. Oh no, this is demonic embrace. Oh my gosh, if that that guy's heart must look at him smile. He's just like, that was scary. Man, that's exciting. But BDS gets Baron for themselves. 2 people survive. That's enough to start this fight. They have a good chance of winning this game. Let's look at the battle lines. Good engage here. Alistar able to peel. Jarvan goes for the big engage. They say, okay, we're going to trade your engaged jungle for my engaged jungle ult. Crowny just getting popped here, but he survives, uses the shield to stay alive. Oh my goodness, that's a huge difference that he's able to come out and get that, dealing about 1,000 extra health just by not dying that tiny little bit. Now with Dragon up and the early game team comp, the Olaf on level 16 is a big problem if you're PSG, to the point where they shouldn't even be fighting for this. The only tool that they have available is Gnar to be outplaying them, as he's been doing in this series. But Hullbreaker means he's on basically a half item less here. He's got no passives. You get into a smite fight. This fight, oh, Maple going in, missing the spell. Gets the Alistar ultimate, means it's almost impossible to kill. Steps back, sheds everything for himself. But look at this. Everyone's branching out. Now, you do have to be careful. Don't balloon out too much, where you then have to like come back and you get spread out. GG. That's it. 5 for 0 ace. This item and this item and this champion working together in perfect synergy in that pit, just saying, hey, we are strong as long as we maintain the fist. Got a little bit loose branching out for a bit, but then came back together to get a grip of the game. The respawn timers, we still have 20 seconds and they have Baron buff, so they're going to look for an end here. You need to go up. Sheo could go up and grab the turret aggro. No, they want to check all the boxes. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It would have been very tight to win on exactly this. And with the Baron empowered recalls, this is fine. It's still checkmate. They've got the inhibitor down. Their team comp is stronger. So whether or not they could win or versus whether or not there's any risk in it compared to other things makes it pretty close. I don't mind them coming back. I don't mind them. Beautiful flash Q from Alistar. Rel tries to peel, but it's a little bit too late. Aji getting in. Almost would have preferred that Rel had died so that he could get all of his Hullbreaker stats, but instead doesn't, which means that they give up the entire wave. Now we're going to see them work into this. So we've seen it before. We're going to have succinct pushes, right? We're going to get prio in mid, then we're going to work through this area, then push up. Supers are going to create the prio for themselves. They're going to create all this vision advantage for themselves into this quadrant, and then they'll step up, start sieging the tier 2. The best answer is to create a wedge, right? You try to find some pocket of wards as red team, and then when you go up, you try to just muscle in, make it anything but this front to back. This front to back is never going to do anything for you. You have the peel of Maokai and of Alistar. You're never going to accomplish anything. The best you can hope to do is to get waves pushed and then counter off over here. Now, if you are going to keep Gnar in the side lane with Hullbreaker, which is fine, then the front to back becomes a little bit better. You can use the Kate line right here. You can see that she's dropped all these traps on the bushes, and then you're just saying like, hey, do you really want to come into us when we have a Jarvan that can hold you to a wall right next to our turret? And the beautiful thing about synergy between Gnar and Jarvan is that no matter where you EQ are, the E gives you a standard to teleport to, so Gnar can always teleport into the middle of the fight, and you always have the Cataclysm to create terrain. So that makes for a very nice synergy between these two champions. Azir hitting 16. Olaf is 18. You could not hold him down. He was able to get back. Maokai 15, getting up to 16 soon. Kaisa is there. Caitlyn is not. Jarvan is not. So we do definitely have an ultimate discrepancy here. Olaf also finishing Steric's gauge. He also has the Death Stance. Means he's got tons of ability to get low, stay low. This is one of the most important items onto Olaf. I think Jaksho is another one where you can just go up and say, hey, I can go up and I can take myself from the brink and come up. I'm building up stats, As you bring me down, my Sterix gauge gives me that extra health buffer. That's enough time to allow my Jack Show to trigger, get me the rest of the way. Disaster strikes. 41 seconds. So Nuke will be responding in time to be part of the Baron fight. You see that they got this kill. That means they're going to go straight back into their base. They're going to buy the maximum amount that they can right now and get back onto the map. They're going to try to draw themselves line of scrimmage plus a deep ward. All right, they want to have the beachside wards. If you are answering this right now, saplings all over the place. Plus, look at all the wards that they have. They have an entire arc. This is what I love to see. You're anticipating a Baron siege. Look at these deep lines of wards to prepare for this situation. It's going to be a super exciting finish to this game. Now, PSG, what can they get done in the 10-second window where we have Baron up but no Azir? Probably nothing, because they're not strong enough to actually go into the pit, and Azir has too many wards to teleport to. They're going to be fighting for mid lane prio. Against an Alistar, that's a task. He goes with flash in, multiple knockups, but no one's there to consolidate any amount of this damage. You don't have Azir yet. They were still teleporting, so not quite in, but Olaf says, now's the time. Let me start diving. Notice that he's not going after the Caitlyn. See how he goes after Sylas? Very, very important. Caitlyn is thinking about the whole game. How am I going to step away from Olaf? I've got my net. I've got my flash. I've got all these tools. I'm super long range, right? 600, what is it, 650 or 675 range? The longest range champion in the game, whereas Sylas has to be in melee range to be able to do their spells. So going after this target, not this one. Save the cape for later, and then you'll be able to get. But you see the value of Ghost, you see the value of the Sterix gauge, where he's able to just get into the middle of that fight. Now, Nuke repositioning the fight, able to get himself a shield off, but look at this, 1 versus 4. Adam, can he rejoin this fight? Is going to consolidate a little bit. Woody misses on the flash, and we get Hextech Soul. Can't overstate enough what this does for Olaf. All right, Hextech Soul is a huge spike for him. Anyone on his team dealing any amount of damage will create a slow and will turn on the approach velocity. So this is going to be a big deal for him with this build. This is one of those souls where you can mortgage everything for, but at the same time, like, how much else did you have to plan for to try to get soul this game? Your team's probably pretty strong in this spot anyways. Love that Olaf waited for the stun to actually come online before he turned on the Ragnarok. This has got to be a bait. Yeah, look at this. They just baited the crap out of this guy. They say, Aji, you want to jump over the wall? We're going to start this, and no, the moment you take it, we're just going to collapse. You see, they are already holding this, and they just moved back the second he took it. That is a huge punt. Aji, who is playing so phenomenally this series, ends up with a pretty big mistake here. Get the Baron for themselves. The answer should just be pushing mid. They should try to put them in a spot, forcing them to recall, taking these waves down, get 1/3 of this turret down, and then move over and control vision in this area to prepare for Dragon eventually. But instead, BDS, because you had syncopated backs here, they tried to do some kind of weird hold into the south quadrant. BDS correctly recognizes that and goes for a repush into mid. They're going to threaten this. They've got Azir pushing in top. They do have to be careful. Second time that we've seen today that mid laner has gone off by themselves for the push, and it means that they don't quite have enough for the inhibitor take. It does mean that they're able to get this K from the gold lead, and they're able to get all the waves in. It does mean that they're going to have a huge shop to the count of full items on Kai'Sa. Let's take a look at this again. Boom, look, they're already leaving, and the second they see it activate, I love this. I love this BDS team. They have so many quirks, so many optimizations, so many little things that they do well. On top of the fact that they play champions that not everyone else plays from the top lane, making the metagame a little bit different, exciting to watch. Adam proving you can't tell me what the meta is. My meta is meta. Now, Now we'll get a chance to see their technique. I would have preferred, with this much time left until Elder, I'd prefer to go on the top wave. You'd like this inhibitor to be broken for the Elder Dragon. You want someone to be as far away as possible, forcing it to be a teleport player to answer that wave. But instead they opt for the bot lane siege, saying like, hey, we want to control this quadrant anyways. So by pushing mid and bot, we'll be able to do that for ourselves. Also, because of the Baron bonus, whoa, they are very confident stepping in between those traps. That was interesting. There's no like magic. Yeah, no way that they were like just not getting stunned. They were just walking in between those traps. Showing that even one of Caitlyn's strengths can just be ignored. They go up, they get both inhibitors for themselves. They are most definitely going to step back now, right? Have to. They might say that we've got enough of a chunk lead that we might just stay here, put pressure on your base like this. Low range for all these champions means that there is potentially a window. Oh my goodness! The scoop in response to the EQ. Nuke just... What is going on? Wow, beautifully played by Nuke to interrupt the dash at full range to pull him back. Does it mean that Kai'Sa's going to bite it for it? Probably, but this favors BDS. They've got the Hex Soul, and they are significantly stronger. So baiting this fight means that they're going to win. I don't mind PSG taking it. It's not going to get better, so I'd rather you take this fight and lose this fight than try anything else. But that's it. That's the extent of it. We have flash available from Olaf, but still just doesn't want to go. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. A little bit too early for Nuke. Seemingly getting extra range out of nowhere from this champion. Don't know how he's quite doing it, but seems like he's getting that last little tick of damage that no one else can get. Again, answering someone in response to their flash. My goodness. Nuke's Azir is fun to watch.